Okay. So let's move towards the next concept that is going to be LINQ basics. What is LINQ? Language integrated query. Language integrated query. For example, if you need to work with your database table, let's say employee, right? So in order to perform any DB operation with your employee, so you have to write that equivalent command, something like select start from employee, right? If you need to filter it, you need to put the where condition, right? You need to use different operators like, not like, and, are, not, less than, greater than. Read me. Okay. So these are SQL queries. So now your entity framework has been integrated with your .NET MVC and MVC core, right? So your entire database will be replicated within your main memory through your entity framework. Okay. So just to facilitate this option, the way how you are writing your SQL queries here, to let you write those same SQL queries in your entity context, they have introduced this specific language called LINQ, language integrated query. The way how you are writing your queries to interact with your database, the similar thing can be replicated through your LINQ. You can also write your queries, but not using SQL. The way how you are writing your queries using SQL, the same thing can be replicated through your C#. You can use the similar syntax to write your queries using SQL. So if you write your query in C#, what C# will do, it will take care of generating this equivalent query for your database. Right me. So once your database is replicated in your DB context, in your main memory, in your application memory, right? You don't need to write SQL queries. You can write your queries using C# language. If you write your query, that equivalent SQL query will be generated by your entity framework. Okay. So when it comes to LINQ, language integrated query, so LINQ works with different things, not only your database, any collection. Okay, your collection can be from your database, your collection can be from your collections like array list, hash table, or it can be from files like XML. Okay, so a LINQ works with collections like your array list, hash table. These are called collection. Readme. You could also write your LINQ queries to access data from your collections. And you can also write your LINQ queries to work with a database. And you can also write your queries to work with your XML, because XML is a file that also holds some data. Readme. So basically your data can be stored into collections, it can be stored into database, it can be stored into files like XML. Right? So whenever you need to extract data from either collection or database or file, right? So earlier we used to write a lot of stuff. Now you can stop writing that stuff. Read me. Rather, so that way how you are interacting to your database by using SQL commands. Read me. So you can write that same SQL commands not only for interacting to your database, you can write that same SQL command to interact with your collections as well as your XML. Read me. The way how you are writing your query here, like select star from employee. Here you're interacting with your OD database. You can write that similar kind of query to interact with your collections also. Read me. I can write the similar kind of query using C# to interact with collections, database, as well as XML. That is the beauty of LINQ. Okay. So it will reduce a lot of burden on the developer. It will speed up your development process. Read me. If you write the query in C#, the equivalent SQL query will be generated automatically by the entity framework. So you don't have to remember any SQL queries. You don't have to, write any SQL queries explicitly. If you take edu.NET, you have to write everything manually. But when it comes to entity framework, so that burden has been reduced on the developer, where you can make use of C# to write your SQL queries. If you write any query using LINQ language, so that will be converted into equivalent SQL command automatically by the system. If it is a database, If it is a collection, these are all in-memory collections, right? Will be stored within your main memory. So no need to generate any SQL query in case of collections and XML. But in case of database, it would generate a SQL query. Any questions, guys?
No.
No, sir.
Okay. So let's discuss some basics about your LINQ, how to write your LINQ queries to interact with your collections as well as database. Okay. Okay. So first, let's see how to access your. First, let's interact with your collection. Then we will start interacting with your database. Let's create a collection. Let's create a collection. I'm going to create an array. Int a is equal to new int of, I'm giving some static values like 10, 20, 60, 80, 120. And let's create one more collection. P 50, 20, 10, 90, 150. Okay. So the basic syntax. So this can be written in two ways. Every LINQ query can be written in two ways. You can use standard LINQ syntax, and you can also make use of lambda expressions. We will see both. Okay. So standard LINQ syntax. Okay. From output variable in your from is a system defined keyword. A is kind of, like whatever is extracted will be put into A. In is again system defined keyword, your collection name. Your collection name. So this can be a in-memory collection like your array list hash table, or this can be a database, or this can be a XML file. Okay. This is standard syntax from, and whatever is extracted from this collection will be placed into A. So it means select from A in collection name. After that, you can write your conditions. Here you can write your filter conditions. This is a standard syntax. Then select A, whatever needs to be written. Okay, so after filtering your data will be placed into this output variable. From output variable in the collection name, the source, collection source, and write your filter conditions. After applying these filters, so output will be produced. That will be placed into this output variable. Now select it from A. Here you can write a number of conditions. Okay, any questions, guys?
No.
Okay,
No, sir.
so let's see this. For example, I'd like to extract data from this, where result is equal to, as I said, from is a standard keyword. From output variable, you can give anything. Let's say A or R, anything. In is a standard keyword, system defined keyword. Collection name, what's your collection name? A. Select A. Okay, so we are not applying any filters. Straight away, where whatever is there in A, we are selecting it into output variable, and finally that will be returned. Write this here. For each where some result are in, I'm just going to iterate through this. Okay, and print this console dot write line or write or now what happens, whatever is there in A, Okay, we are said straight away, whatever is there in here, we are just selecting all elements into this output variable, and that output variable will be returned. So list of these values will be returned, and that is going to be stored into the result. I'm just looping through this result, iterating through the results and printing those numbers. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Run this. Now you can see it has those values for each. See, 10, 20, 60, 80, 120 got displayed. Now, I would like to apply some filters. If you need to apply some filters here, okay, and see, this is how to interact with your collection. Okay, now let's see how to interact with your database. And this can be written in two ways. Okay. Next, let's play with operators. This collection has set of values. I want to select only the list of values that are greater than 50. Greater than 50. So in this case, we can make use of where condition, where A is. So the output will be placed into this output variable. I'm just checking this where A is greater than 50. A is greater than 50. Now what it will do? It is very similar to select star from this collection where A is greater than 50. It will filter the data and output data will be placed into EA. Okay. Now run this. Now I got only three elements, 60, 80, 20, which are greater than 50. Okay. This is a standard syntax. This can also be written in another way using your LINQ expression. How do you write it? Where result is equal to A dot, your collection name. Okay. Another syntax. Your collection source dot where condition here lambda expression x is equal to some x is greater than 50 or y is greater than 50. You can write a number of conditions. Same. This can be written in two ways. This is one, and lambda expression would reduce number of lines of code. That is the beauty of lambda expression. That's why mostly we will go for lambda expressions. What is your collection name? A dot where. Now, whatever is there in A, see, we are selecting the output of A into A, right? Right? So here A is output variable. So here output variable is going to be this. Or you can also write something like this. Now A is greater than 50. Right? This has reduced number of lines. That's all. Read. So what happens? The output of this will be placed into this. Now we are playing with this. Here also same thing. Output of your collection will be placed into, okay, the data of your collection will be placed into output variable called A. Here also same thing. We are writing the lambda expression. Any questions, guys? And not only one condition, you can write a number of conditions. And it should be greater than 50 and less than 100. It should be less than 100. Now I got only two. You can write a number of conditions. Any questions?
No.
No, sir.
Okay. And now we have seen how to write queries with your collection. Next, we will see how to apply the same thing with your database. Okay, I created employee DB context class. Employee DB context, some EMP-DB is equal to new employee DB context. Okay, let's comment out this. Okay, now I want to work with employee collection. Okay, same thing. I can make use of this. I can make use of this. Okay, I can use something like where result is equal to. So I want to select the list of employees whose salary is greater than 5,000. How do you write your query here? select star from employee where salary is greater than 5,000, right? This is SQL query. Now you can replicate the same thing using your C# LINQ query. Okay. So from EMP, this is just variable name EMP. You can give it as A, B, C, blah, blah. It can be anything. Okay. From EMP in your collection name. What is your collection name? EMPDB dot employees. This is my collection name, right? Here you can write your query where EMP dot, what is that? Salary is greater than 5,000. Select EMP. Are you getting this? Select EMP. For each employee, what is the type of this record? Employee in the result. Res. What happens? It will select the employee from this employees table where salary is greater than 5,000, and that will be placed into this, right? And finally, the overall output of this one is going to be placed into result. Okay, we are just iterating through this and printing this. E dot EMP name. E dot salary. Redeeming. This is one way, right? And another way, how do I write it? Same thing, using lambda expression, where result is equal to EMPDB dot employees, right? I should write lambda expression. Here I used a variable, output variable called EMP. Use same thing, EMP dot salary. I'm sorry, where EMP dot salary is greater than 5,000, and convert it into list. Rate me similar. This is syntax 1 and this is syntax 2. What it will do, it will reduce some complexity. That's all. Okay, any questions, guys? Now here you're interacting with the DB context. From where does it pull the data? It has to pull the data from database. So what it will do, your entity framework would generate the equivalent SQL query like this: select star from employee where salary is greater than 5,000, right? So we are writing the query using our C#, but internally what your entity framework will do, it would generate that equivalent SQL query, and that SQL query will be executed on the database. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, let's see what is there here. There are many people more than 5,000. Let's keep it as 20,000 or 30,000. See, now I can see 3 records: 32, 32, 32. Right? Any questions, guys?
No.
Okay, so this is something about your where. Okay, next let's see order by. How do we sort data? How do we sort data? Okay, so first let's go with collection. I'm just stopping this, commenting it out. Okay, this is your query. let's say I want to sort this data. Okay, so 130, 165. Okay, I want to sort this data. So how do I write it? So it's very simple. Again, you can use this from A in A here. I'm not going to filter it. You can also filter it. Okay. Order by, we have a class called order by A. Here we have order by, next order by. It can be sorted in both ways, either ascending or descending. Order by A, it is ascending or descending. That has to be specified. Ascending or descending. Okay. Now print this result. Now we are going to sort this out. If you want to sort an array, you need to write a lot of program, right? But just to reduce burden on the developer, they provided this link. You can write a LINQ query like this. See, now it got sorted in ascending order. If I say descending, the data will be arranged in descending order. Any questions, guys? And this is method one. I can also use lambda expression. How do I use it? Is equal to A dot, what's the collection name? A dot order by descending. Order by descending. By order by, what will do? By default, it will order the data by ascending. Order by descending will arrange the data by descending. Order by A is equal to A. It will just order by, it will arrange your data in ascending order. Right? Just compare the number of lines of code from here to here. Here we wrote 3 lines of code. But here we have finished it through only 1 line of code. Next, order by descending. Now it will arrange your data in descending order. Okay. Right. Perfect. Next, group by. How to group your data? Okay. Let's comment on this. How to group it? There can be duplicate records. 10, 165, 80. Okay. So let's check with this group by. How do we write group by? Same thing. Here again, you have 2 options. Either you can write your query or you can make use of this lambda expression. Okay. So from EMP in employees. Okay. So group EMP by. Okay. This is one way. EMP dot salary. We are asking it to group the data based on salary. Okay. And here you have to select the required fields, or you can select it later. Okay. What it will do, it will group the data based on salary. If I say emp name, okay. So here, if you want to group your data, what will you do? You will write group by class, right? Select emp name, comma, salary from employee, group by emp name and salary, right? The data got grouped by, right? If you want to do the similar thing here, you can write your group by class. Okay, it will divide your employee into different groups. Okay, so now your result is going to carry for each result where R in result, it will give you the groups. It will divide the employee into different groups. All groups will be stored into result. Now take each group and iterate through group, okay, and print your result. Okay, it will take first group and iterate through the group and print the result. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
See, it contains different groups. Now your data got divided into different groups. So let's go through each group. First, group 1. Right? This is your first group. It has count 1. Right? The similar way, display all your records. See. Now it got displayed in the same place. These are different groups. And how do we write this using your lambda expression? Here you have to write group by where result is equal to employees dot group by. You have to specify based on what? Based on employee salary. You directly return the result. Okay, so these are the different ways to perform your group by. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
And to group your data, we can also use lookup. To lookup. To lookup is also very similar to your group by. Okay, but the difference is group by supports different execution. If I use to lookup, it will be evaluated immediately, will be executed immediately. We have a concept of lazy loading. Lazy loading. We have a concept of lazy loading. What is lazy loading? See, for example, if you are going to extract large amount of data, right? For example, which has employee details and department details. In one of the scenario, I don't really require that full amount of data. I require only small piece of that full data. In that case, why do you want to load the entire data set into your main memory? That would kill your performance. Whatever is really required, get only that loaded into your main memory. That is called lazy loading. I mean, whenever you write your query like this, for example, here you need to know the difference between as enumerable and as queryable. As enumerable and as queryable. So what lazy loading will do, whatever is really required, it will get only that piece loaded on the fly. For example, if I say select star from employee, where employee is equal to something. In case of as enumerable, the query will be executed immediately. The query will be generated and executed immediately. Here, if I use as enumerable, result 1. Result 2 as queryable. The difference is, for example, here, if you want to select top 100, if you want to select top 100 records from your employee, select star from select top 100 star from employee. what it will do, what as enumerable will do. If you execute something like this, or if you use tool start to as enumerable, immediately it will execute the command and extract the result into result one. Then you can iterate through your result one. Are you me? Immediately, in case of as enumerable, immediately, this is immediate execution. Immediately, your query will be generated immediately, and it will be executed immediately on the server, and result will be extracted into result one. Now you can start iterating through it. If I use as queryable, what it will do, it supports lazy loading. Here, your query will not be executed immediately. Once you start iterating through your result set, based on your requirement, then only it will go and execute that query and extract the result. And the query will not be executed until you started iterating through this result set. This is called deferred execution. Read me. In case of to lookup, this will not be. In case of to lookup, the expression will be evaluated immediately. In case of group by, it will not be evaluated immediately. It's supposed deferred execution. Okay, but to lookup will be executed immediately. So, and in case of as enumerable, as queryable, as enumerable would generate the query immediately, will be executed immediately, and data will be extracted immediately. Immediately, you will see the data in result one. But when it comes to as queryable, you cannot see the data in result two. It will just prepare the query and keep it on hold. Once you start iterating through the collection, then only this query will be executed. If I use as queryable, there is a difference between as enumerable and as queryable. So if you are going to extract large amount of data, if you don't have a requirement of loading the entire data at a time, only if only the small part of the data has to be loaded based on your requirement, then go with as queryable. As queryable, you can save a lot of your main memory, and it is much more recommended. Otherwise, go with as enumerable. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Interviewer may ask this question: what is the difference between as enumerable and as? Whenever I set to list, immediately the query will be executed. Okay. So to lookup, what is the difference between group by and to lookup? Group by support deferred execution, whereas to lookup doesn't support deferred execution. Okay. There is a difference between your group by and to lookup. Next. You have seen, like, how to filter your data and how to sort your data. Okay. So next. Any, all, contains. Any, all, contains. If you want to know, whenever you want to know whether that piece exists or not, finally, it should return me a Boolean value. If that exists, it should return me true. Otherwise, it should return me false. To evaluate the existence of the particular thing, you can verify a single condition. You can verify multiple conditions. Okay. So now system has to tell me whether that exists or not based on set of conditions. If you want all conditions are satisfied to verify that existence, use all. It returns true if and only if all conditions are satisfied. For example, I want to know whether that particular employee group is there or not based on set of conditions. Okay, I want to get some details of employees whose salary is greater than 5,000 and who is female employee and who belongs to US location, right? So in order to pick that particular thing, in order to know the existence of that particular thing, all the three conditions are to be verified. As per my requirement, if the candidate satisfies these three conditions, his salary should be greater than 10,000, and it should be a citizen of USA, and should be a female employee. Now I want the details of all these candidates. In this case, all the three conditions are to be verified. In this case, it should return true if and only if all the conditions are satisfied. In that case, you can go with all. These are all built-in operators. If any one of those three conditions, either it should earn more than 10,000, or it should belongs to US, or should be a female employee. In this case, we can make use of any. And contents is a kind of like, not like expression. Like, not like. Contents, not contents. Okay, something like this. Where result is equal to. Here I can use all. X is equal to. X should be greater than 30, and X should be less than 50. Written. I'm going to verify this collection. If there are any values greater than 30 and less than 50, what it will do here, you can write a number of conditions. Right? If there is any element greater than 30 or less than 50, it returns true. If there is no element which falls in this range, it returns false. What ART will do? All will verify all conditions. It returns true if and only if all conditions are satisfied. If any one of these conditions are not satisfied, it returns false. And if I use any, what it will do, it's like OR condition. If any one of these conditions, this set of conditions are satisfied, it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. And I can use contains. Whether this particular collection contains element 30. If this contains 30, it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. Next. Join. Here you can join two tables, right? So how do you write your joins in C#? You're not only two tables, you can join two collections, you can join two tables, you can join two files. Okay, so let's see this. I'd like to join these two collections, A and B. Where result is equal to from A in A, join, you would use a keyword called join, B in B. We are joining two collections. On what? Based on these elements. Okay. If the element of A is equivalent to element of B, then that has to be extracted. A equals B. Select A. Written me. I'm just joining these two collections based on what? Equal operator. If any element of A is equivalent to any element of B, that has to be extracted. Okay. And if it is a table, from A in employee, join B in department on A dot employee ID is equal to, or A dot department ID is equal to B dot department ID. Something like this. So the join can be between collections or between two tables or between two files. Any questions, guys? 10,
No.
20, 10. I got 10, 20, 10 because only these elements are matched. Okay, so this can be a collection. If it is a table, it should be something like employee, department on A dot department ID equals to B dot department ID and select whatever the columns are required. This is something about giants. Any questions?
No, sir.
Right. Next. Next. Where result is equal to, here we need to know like how do we select data from your collection. Okay, here we are using select keyword. Here we are using select keyword, right? So not only select, we have select and select many. First are default. Last are default. First are default. Last are default. So where result is equal to empdb dot employees dot select. Here you can select like what I don't want to return all columns of my table. Rather, I want to choose a specific column, right? For example, if you want to select all columns, you will specify star. If you want to select a specific columns, you have to specify what has to be selected. EMPID, salary, right? Now, how do I replicate this query in C#? So using select many. empdb.implies select. Here specify what has to be selected. Here new, here you can specify. Readme. So that is select. Here you can specify like what has to be selected. Employee ID is equal to x dot employee ID. Next, EMP name is equal to x dot EMP name. Salary, whatever the list to be written, you can select it. And select supports anonymous types. Anonymous means which doesn't contain any name. It is supposed to be new employee. Read me. But if you're not aware of the target type to be written, you can use anonymous. That is the beauty of select. What is select many? If within this list, again, you need to give this as input and send it to other list of collection, right? If there is any multi-hierarchy, for example, we have extracted millions of records of multiple tables. First, you should go to department table, select particular department. Then within the department, select all those employees. Again, within the employee table, again, filter the employees based on the salary. If you need to implement this kind of hierarchy, select is not recommended. You'd use select many. You'd use select many. What it will do? It will select many entities from that hierarchy. There is a difference between select and select many, and it doesn't support anonymous types. Select supports anonymous types. That's the beauty of select. Next. First are default. Yeah. Dot to list. First are default. If I say first, sorry, first or first or default. What first will do? It will select the first record from your employee. But if the first record is not there, it throws the error. It throws the exception. If the first record exists, it will take the first record. Let's say there are no records in employee. It returns exception. That's why in most of the cases, whenever you need to select the top one record, we use first or default. First or default. Are you with me? So what it will do? It will try to select the first record. If the first record doesn't exist, if the collection is empty, it doesn't throw any exception. Rather, it throws some default values. It returns some default values. That is the difference between first or default. Any questions, guys?
No.
Next, last or default. If I say last, what it will do? It will select last record of your collection. But if the collection is empty, again it throws the error. So ideally we use last or default. Okay, so if the last record doesn't exist, so what it will do? It doesn't throw any exception, rather it throws some default value. This is something about select many, first or first default, last or last default. Next, let's see aggregate functions. Aggregate functions. What are those aggregate functions? Here we have, when it comes to your database, here you will see your aggregate functions. If you go to your programmability functions, you can see some system defined aggregate functions here. Not sorry. Where the system defined functions. System functions, good system functions. Here you will see aggregate functions. Average, group by, max, min, right? So you can replicate all these functions here. You can replicate all these functions here. Okay, so where result is equal to, I want to know sum of all elements of A dot sum, A dot average, A dot max element, A dot min element. Let's see, A dot sum. So what it will do? It returns sum of elements of your result. Console dot write line result. See, this is the sum of elements of my collection. If I say average, it will give me average. Read me. If you want to know the max element, the highest element of your array. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
These are all aggregate functions. And you can also apply aggregate functions to your database tables, right? Where result is equal to empdb dot employees dot sum of what? It has columns, right? X dot salary. What it will do? It will find the sum of salaries. Sum of salaries. This is sum of salary. If you want to know highest salary, like average, what it will do? If you are writing LINQ query for your database, it will generate the equivalent SQL query, and SQL query will be executed on the database. If you want to know the max salary, this is a max salary. Okay, so these are your aggregate operators. Any questions, guys?
No.
And we also
No,
have
sir.
set operators like union, intersection, and except. Right? For example, if you want to like find the common part, if you want to join two collections or two tables, you can make use of union operators also. For example, A dot, I want to join these two, A dot union of B. So what it will do? It will combine all elements from A and B for each where A in result. Console dot write A plus give some space. Right? It's a union operator. It will combine all the elements from A as well as B. Finally, it will be written as a single set. See, duplicate elements are eliminated. It will combine all the elements from A and B, and duplicate elements will be eliminated. Right? 150 is there, is not there. Next, intersection. If I use intersection, what is the use of intersection? If you want to get the common part from both the collections, whatever is common between these two collections or these two data tables, only that part has to be extracted. In this case, you can go through intersect. Only 10 and 20 is common. And except, what it is saying, whatever is there in B, that has to be accepted from A. See, now whatever is in B, 10, 20 is there in B. So those two elements are accepted from this result set. These are all set operators, right? So whatever I explained today, if you understood all those things, then you're good to work with your LINQ queries. Okay, so when it comes to entity framework, in most of the scenarios, we'll be working with where classes, first or default, are you with me? Okay, any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Okay, so I'll be taking, so tomorrow's session is going to be the last session where we'll be learning how to create your web API in .NET Core. We will see, the disadvantage of your classic .NET framework and advantages of .NET Core. And we will implement the same thing, like same API using .NET Core along with your entity framework core. Okay, so please do practice everything that we've discussed. So whatever I've explained in the classroom, if you could practice those things, that should be enough to, work with your real-time application. In yesterday MVC class, I also explained some advanced repository pattern. Wherever you go, wherever you join, everywhere you will see that pattern. Right? If you practice that, nothing will be new to you once you join your application. If you do not practice, everything looks new to you. Okay, so whatever is really required for your real-time application, so we have focused on all those things. Okay, any questions, guys?
No.
Okay, if no, we will meet tomorrow at same time.
Okay, sir.